Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, happy Sunday. Today, I want to talk about crypto AI projects, and there are a couple of them that are pumping quite a lot today, and it's due to Google. Well, Google and Microsoft, but Google had a big announcement, and there's a lot more speculation of what's to come. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about Bitcoin and its path to $100,000. So let's do this. Welcome, guys. Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Today, the crypto market cap is down slightly, just a little bit. But rather than jump into Bitcoin, let's jump into what's going on with AI. The big buzzword, right? AI. We've been hearing nothing about it for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, boom, everyone is talking about it, right? And the biggest, I guess, name in AI has to be ChatGPT. Once ChatGPT came out, it hit the world like, okay, AI is actually here and it's actually useful and it actually works. All previous times before, we hear about AI and we see robots, but we don't really get any use out of them. But now people are figuring out, and still daily, seems like people figure out how to approach ChatGPT in a way that can actually make you money and make your life useful. And that is why Microsoft decided to buy 49% stake in ChatGPT, because they know we're barely scratching the surface, okay? And Microsoft already integrated ChatGPT into their Teams product, which basically you have an AI assistant that can not only take notes and tell you exactly who said what in a meeting, but also proactively just form new meetings and send out alerts and do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's an actual personal AI assistant that's built into Teams now. That's actually amazing for those of you guys that are in the enterprise space. Now you don't have to guess who said what. Sally said this, Mark said that, or whatever. You could just tell ChatGPT to tell you exactly what was said and summarize for you, and even translate it to 200-something languages instantly. So the next step up, Microsoft is going to integrate ChatGPT into Bing, their search engine, which has trailed Google for over a decade. Microsoft can't seem to fix Bing to make it competitive, but they feel like ChatGPT will. And of course, Google is so worried about this because Google, of course, has like a 90+% share in search. And of course, they control the ad space, right? And they control YouTube, right? They control a whole bunch of stuff, and they don't want to lose, because if they start losing in Bing, well, that's the beginning of the end for them, right? That is why they decided to invest in this AI firm called Anthropic, something like that. $300 million. So they're buying a 10% stake. They're not as aggressive as Microsoft. Microsoft was rumored to pay. They paid around $10 billion, I think. That was the rumor. They didn't actually release the figure. Later on, they'll probably release it, but it's in the billions. Okay, Microsoft is that serious about it. Google, on the other hand, they're serious about it. So they're putting a $300 million investment into this AI firm, which is essentially doing the same thing, but they're trying to create this new assistant that will do the same thing that ChatGPT does. But it does seem like they're really behind, right? But Google wants to make sure they're on top of it, and there's a lot of rumors about Google deploying a whole bunch of internal teams to this, because they don't want to lose their edge to Microsoft, to Bing, to anyone else, right? So this news just came out just yesterday, or late or early this morning, late yesterday, wherever you may be. But this shows you how serious Google is, and just tech overall about AI. Now, what's controversial about this is this firm, Anthropic, you might be wondering, what does SBF has anything to do with this? Well, it turned out SBF and his co-founders like Caroline and Nassad and former director of engineering at FTX and others previously invested in this project. So SBF is actually a large shareholder in this AI firm. That's the thing. With bankruptcy, with the courts taking away all the assets from SBF and everyone else, we don't know what's going to happen to this, right? Are the shares in this going to be liquidated and given back to the FTX people? Because you could argue they put in $500 million. This firm's previous round, they had $580 million raised, and 500 of that was from SBF and his buddies. So they own a huge chunk of this, but obviously Google doesn't care. They're just desperate right now. They need to get into a firm. They need to get their foot in the door, so to speak, right? So I don't know what's going to happen. You could argue that $500 million was user funds and it's illegal funds that they should never had used, right? So I don't know what FTX bankruptcy the court is going to do with this $500 million in this project. But this project obviously got a big boost because Google invested $300 million. So maybe they're just going to take this $300 million and give it to the FTX creditors. I don't know. But that's the whole other side story to this. That's really, really weird. But getting off point, the whole thing is, yes, the whole world is getting very serious about AI, especially Google. And if Google is doing it, then Amazon is going to probably make a big investment because they want to integrate it with AWS, which may be the reason why they already partnered with someone like Avalanche. And all these companies are looking into it. But relating to crypto, right, this is the reason why I believe Singularity.net pumped 55% today. Now, when ChatGPT was getting popular and Microsoft decided to invest in them, Singularity also pumped. But today you can see it pumped quite a lot, 55%. And they're not alone. They're not alone. So I want to talk about Singularity.net a little bit. They have been around for quite some time. They're not a new project. And what brought them to fame was this. The founders of Singularity.net, they're the founders of Sophia, the humanoid robot. Now, she made a big splash years ago because she was marketed everywhere on all the late night talk shows, and you could have a conversation with her, and supposedly she was the very first robot to get citizenship at some kind of country or whatever. You don't hear about her anymore. I don't know what happened to Sophia, but the creators behind Sophia, obviously in AI, obviously in robotics, right? They're the ones that created Singularity.net. And Singularity.net, really, you boil it down to just two things. Really one thing. Singularity.net is really an AI marketplace. Okay, so if you do have like some kind of AI project that you are developing and you want to, say, sell it to someone else, you could put in the AI marketplace and others could take a look at it, and they want to use your core code or some kind of data that you're sharing, right? They can use it within their product. It's just a giant AI marketplace, right? And then they also have an AI publisher, which is basically you publish your findings or whatever, your documents, your research, right? And then you could also stake their tokens. But essentially, it's a giant AI marketplace, okay? And with that, they actually have, well, I don't know. Okay, here we go. They actually have a few projects that's already on top of it, okay? Well, a lot of it is their own, like Singularity.DAO, Sophiaverse, okay, which is actually an NFT-based game. But you see Awakening Health, NewNet, Jam Galaxy, Mindplex, Hypercycle, Singularity Studio, Cogito, and True. So there's a few. There's a few that's within the ecosystem that's already, sharing data. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe Google, maybe this Anthropic, and maybe ChatGPT, they decide to share their data. They make it so that if you want straight access into ChatGPT or something like that, then maybe they'll throw that up there in Singularity.net, and then you can rent it. You can rent that time that you spend with ChatGPT. Who knows? Who knows? So people are speculating, obviously. That is why Singularity.net has gone up through the roof because of it. But I really think it's just right now, we're just very, very early, especially in the crypto space with AI, right? Crypto space, we're still developing a whole lot of other things, trying to get chains to scale, trying to build up governance, right? Trying to get DeFi bigger. I mean, there's a lot of things that crypto is working on, right? But you figure AI is a natural, I guess, evolution where crypto can go, right? And who knows, all these crypto dApps in the future could all be powered by AI too. So anyway, so that is the reason why Singularity went up. And they're not alone. The second project, also Fetch.AI, also went up about 20%, not nearly as much as Singularity, but they're a smaller project. They are also a L1. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that Singularity.net started with Ethereum, but they have moved to Cardano, okay? So they're actually within the Cardano ecosystem, for those of you guys that are Cardano fans. And Charles Hoskinson is a big fan of the founder of Singularity.net. They had conversations previously before. So I just want to bring that up. But the other one is Fetch.AI. They are not in Cardano, but they're in the Cosmos ecosystem. And again, they're in the AI space, but they're different. They're really like their own L1, okay? And what's unique about them is they have what they call agents. And these agents are basically like agents of smart contracts, where they will actually detect like certain events, and they will do certain events based on how you want them to, right? But they will automatically do it for you. And supposedly over time, they get smarter because they will learn, right? Kind of like an AI bot, so to speak. So they're like a L1 project that has AI bots that you can program, and they will get smarter over time. So that's kind of how they are, right? So they're not AI marketplace like Singularity. They're more so like a AI project, or a project that has AI features within, right? So that's Fetch.AI. They're a little bit different, but they're also in this space. And again, since AI is developing, people are speculating. That's the reason why they went up. So in the crypto space, there's really these two projects leading. There's a few other smaller ones that are in like the AI marketplace kind of realm, okay? But these two are definitely the leaders of the pack. So just want to give you guys an update on why they are moving, why so many people are speculating. It's because AI is the future. All right, now let's get back to Bitcoin. I didn't start out with Bitcoin, but can Bitcoin hit 100,000? Okay, that's the magical number, 6 digits. If you think about it, we were not too far off, right? 70,000, only 30,000 away from Bitcoin. So will it hit 100,000? I certainly think so. But there's a lot of arguments right now whether or not it's going to happen next year or 5 years or 10 years, right? This sums it up pretty well right here, the bullish argument right now with inflation cooling off, Fed also cooling off or becoming more dovish. Near term, that is great, right? But long term, why does Bitcoin continue to go up? It's because of the shenanigans of the Fed, of central banks around the world. So according to this, in the third quarter of last year, the country's debt to GDP ratio was 120%. That means the U.S. spends 20% more than it collects, or not even it collects, the overall economy, right? And that doesn't even mean that it's collecting it. But anyways, the point is the government spends way more than it earns, and its only solution is to basically print more money or to borrow more money. In both cases, they're not good, right? So because of this, inflation will continue to be rampant. It will continue to go up and rob people of their buying power. It's a silent tax, and this is the reason why over time Bitcoin will only get stronger because it's not manipulated, not controlled by the Fed or any central banks or even any countries out there, right? But that is the long-term bullish case. And I think a lot of you guys know that. But institutional investors were also surveyed whether or not they think Bitcoin will hit 100,000. And 65% said yes. This is institutional investors, keep in mind, not retail investors. And out of the 65%, 58% said it will happen within 3 to 5 years. 25% said it would happen 5 or more years, but 58% thinks that within 3 to 5 years, Bitcoin will hit 100,000. It makes sense because 2024 is the halving event and 2025 is usually the year that follows the halving event when you have Bitcoin skyrocket, right? So that's 2 to 3 years. So it makes sense, right? So even institutional investors believe that Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000. And here's the thing. Just because it hits 100,000 doesn't mean that that's the ceiling. No, no, no. Bitcoin, after breaking 100,000, who knows what's going to happen? You know, that's when it's way too big for anyone to ignore. And people will complain, well, it's too late now for me to get in. Well, that's why you got to get in when it's low, right? But when things are low, people tend to ignore that, and they always wait until they get it on the upside, right? But at 100,000, every major financial institution, every bank, every retail player, every Wall Street player, every fund manager, right? They will all get into Bitcoin because at that point, they can't ignore it anymore. It's just way too big to be ignored, right? So it's coming. And what's also coming is the golden cross. The golden cross on Bitcoin and S&P 500 has come, and that's usually a very bullish thing. So near term, that could also be a very, very big thing. But near term also, we have a big boost for certain countries that because of shenanigans, because of hyperinflation and due to economic turmoil, right? They are also helping endorse Bitcoin. Nigeria recently said that, hey, you can't withdraw your money anymore. We're going to impose a limit on how much cash you can withdraw. Of course, people don't like that, right? Imagine in the U.S. if JP Morgan or whoever said, hey, you can only withdraw $100 per day. Imagine if that happened, how much money would flow out of the banking industry, right? But that's exactly what's happening in Nigeria because they want to promote their own digital cash. But that is the reason why so many are buying Bitcoin. In fact, Bitcoin carries a 30% premium in Nigeria because of that. People want to get out. And of course, Google search trends is blowing up in Nigeria because, again, you know, if the government is now imposing what you could do with your money, well, that's when you need to opt out of it. If you can. It's easier said than done. If you're in a country that doesn't allow you to buy any foreign currencies and you can't really send it anywhere, right? What can you do? Well, you buy Bitcoin, right? So that's also helping near term, but it's also going to help long term as more and more countries that suffer from the same kind of thing, their citizens will just simply opt out and buy Bitcoin, right? Percent supply last active plus 2 years. This is, of course, measuring the holders, and it just keeps going up and up and up. 49% of the supply, 49, close to 50% has held for 2 years. And if you're measuring just long-term holders, okay, over 2 years plus everything, everyone that's been holding, right, 78%. 78% of Bitcoin supply is in hands of long-term holders right now, right? So when you have scarcity, when you have the holders holding and Bitcoin supply being cut in half every 4 years, when you have scarcity and then plus increased demands due to people wanting to opt out, due to people wanting to get in something that is the best hedge against inflation, the best store of value that's not controlled by anyone or any company, well, the demand is going to keep going. And then when you have increasing demand and decreasing supply, what happens to the price? It does this, right? So 100,000 is within grasp, and it's really the beginning. All right. That's what I want to say. Let's do some Q&A. Oops. Sorry, scrolling here. Making sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Do you think Ocean can pump as well? Ocean is another AI marketplace. They're definitely much smaller, so they could be carried in the wave too. Ardor and Next wallets were hacked. Man, they're an old project. I remember covering them very early in 2017. I don't think I've talked about them for many, many years, so don't know too much about that. Let's see here. Still scrolling. Kamal asked about Render Token. I did cover about them recently. They have a new token. They're trying to implement a new token economics, I guess. Token structure. They're going to redo how burning is going to be done, how renting GPU time is going to be done using dollars rather than specific number of tokens. But I mean, overall, I'm still neutral on the project. I still think renting GPU time, it just doesn't seem very efficient. But they have been going up quite a lot because of the new structure. Let's see. Good morning. Man, how much chat has I'm still scrolling. Still trying to catch up while answering. Wahid says, hey, George, you're right. My friends have millions of dollars in their accounts in Afghanistan, but when Taliban took over, they couldn't withdraw cash anymore, only $200 a week. I mean, you hear about it all the time, right? Most of us don't know someone that's going in that situation, but if you do, I mean, that reaffirms what I've been saying, what a lot of Bitcoiners have been saying, right? And it really sucks. And we have seen Russia did that recently. You know, after the war broke, people couldn't withdraw their money out of their ATMs. China does that. They limit how much money you can transfer out of the country. So that's why a lot of rich Chinese investors, their only option is to invest in real estate because they can't really do anything with that money. I mean, a lot of countries does that already, you know. So unfortunately, that's the reality. Do you think LeBron's going to break the record next game? I don't know. He was down to 60-something points. I don't know how, unless he gets like a 60-plus point game, but it's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen this year and soon. But, you know, the GOAT debate, I guess, will always continue, regardless if he's the points leader all-time points leader or not. What's with the Sailor audio leak I'm hearing about? Johnny, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't. Is it supposed to be good or bad? Render will allow phones to edit 8K videos or a small ITX office computer to save the company thousands of times. Okay, Jeremy, you're assuming that somehow you can render all these things for free. No, you're paying. You're paying for it. So no, I don't agree with that. Maybe like one time, like if you're just renting it one time, but if you're doing it consistently, like 8K videos, which no one is doing, yeah, and you're talking about on top of Ethereum too. The gas fees they haven't been solved yet on Ethereum. Okay, everyone's saying the Sailor audio leak is clearly fake. Everyone says it's fake. I didn't hear about it. ETH price prediction for end of next bull run, I think like 15,000 would be conservative. Thoughts on the new range, the Ranger Raptor? It's not available in the US, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I think it's in Australia already. Rangers are quite boring. They need a redesign. But Raptor editions of anything are awesome. Jim, I just did a video yesterday on Sheeb, so go ahead and watch it. Johnny, just read the comments, man. Everyone's saying it's fake, so don't worry about it. Don't stress over it. Richard says, Google has their own AI. It's bigger than ChatGPT. It's called Lambda. They haven't made it usable. So if that's the case, then why did they purchase or invest in this other project that SBF invested in? I think their own AI project, I'm sure they have AI. It's more machine learning. It's part of their algorithm, why it's so good, but it's not a personal assistant. That's why they need the help of another firm to kind of help them with that. So I'm sure Google has one of the best, if not the best, machine learning, because every Google product learns about your behavior. You use Gmail, it will scan all your emails. It'll scan all the emails that you write, and it knows exactly what you're writing, what you're receiving. Every website you go to that has a tracker enabled, it will know exactly what you're searching for, what you're buying. Every single Google product. Basically, records your life. So I'm sure they have one of the best machine learning AI bots in the background that's processing all this and promoting the right ads to you. Coin developments, you're welcome. Glad you are still in the game. Hedera does have DeFi and smart contracts. Okay, well, it's good to know. I've been meaning to do more of a deep dive into Hedera. So, yeah, everyone is saying that the leak is a fake. At this point, I mean, I didn't even hear it. I'll listen to it afterwards. But if the leak is supposedly Saylor telling people to sell Bitcoin and buy ETH or buy whatever, you know that's fake. You just know that that's fake. I didn't even listen to it, but I know already it's fake. Let's see. The graph looks like a good project. I would think it would help for all to understand more how dApps are made and used along with what the graph does. It does look like a good project, but it's not essential, Dylan. The graph basically uses a standard way of programming APIs for your dApp so that others can fetch data from it. And this is important for many reasons. If you're creating a dApp that somehow, I don't know, say a DEX, right? You want to let people know how much liquidity you have and be able to track certain things. You need an API, right? So they help projects do that. But people can program their own APIs without needing the help of the graph. But they're in that space, and it is very useful. Why is April always bullish? Because it's start of Q2. The weather warms up. People feel better about themselves. I don't know if that's good. People feel better about, I don't know, just about going out. And I think usually, traditionally speaking, Q1, there's just a lot of contraction. A lot of companies don't spend as much on marketing. Earnings slow down in Q1. There's a lot of stuff about Q1 that's, traditionally speaking, not the best. But hey, we had a terrific January, right? So some of these trends don't apply because it really depends on what happened last year, right? The whole market, obviously corrected and crashed down. So we had a terrific January. So can it continue in February? Sure. Yeah, and there's tax too. So this is a good point. For tax filing is in April in the U.S. So a lot of people, I think people make this argument that people sell off before April because they need to pay their taxes. I don't know if that's really true, but maybe there's something to that. Someone else says Hedera is missing lending and derivatives, but I'll get there. Saucer swap is the best DEX on Hedera. Okay. A lot of people educating me on Hedera. I have not paid attention to them for a while, but I need to pay attention. They've changed quite a lot from a few years ago. Normally projects don't change that much, but good to see they have. Old Saucy says, this is why I don't use Google. I have burner devices. I guess that's a smart thing to do if you could do that. Can you explain what is a security? I can't Google the explanation or find. Dude, yes you can. You're just being lazy. Or ask ChatGPT. Matt Kors. Hey, welcome. Yeah, I guess everyone's talking about this silly leak of Michael Saylor, but I guess it shows you the power of AI because you're starting to see a lot of deepfakes everywhere with voice and with people's faces and stuff. So I think that's what scares a lot of people, that AI can basically make it so that it's impossible to know what's real and what's not in the future. Unfortunately, I do think that's real. When you can fake people's voices like almost identical to what the real voice is. I mean, how can you tell, right? When these fake leaked chats come out, like how can you really tell if it's Sailor or not? But it seems like everyone thinks it is fake. I have to listen to it. But this is the reason why Google and Microsoft, they are so into AI now. Because up until this point, AI was just thought like, okay, you have like a lot of deep learning, machine learning that can process a lot of data, but it's not all that useful, at least to consumers. For them, in the back end, I'm sure it's very convenient to process the whole bunch of data and then run ads against the people. But now that you have companies that can actually make it really useful for people and actually make it so that you can make a whole bunch of money from it, that's why they're so serious. So this is the reason why so many AI projects are being pumped right now, because it's just speculation. I've mentioned this before, weeks ago, when both Singularity and Fetch went up because of ChatGPT's popularity and when Microsoft invested in them first, right? I think they kind of took a breather, but now Google getting into the space pumped them again. So, Franco, in order to pay crypto taxes, you have to take note of every trade that you do in a year. It's a lot of work. That's why you buy a software that does the work for you, Franco. Like in my description, I have coin tracking, right? A lot of people use them, and there's many others like Coin Tracker and all that stuff. But basically, they will calculate all of that for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And it's like, pretty cheap, like 40, 50 bucks or something, 100 bucks like that. I use them every year, so. What do you think about the balloon from China? I don't know what to think. I don't know how China could be so stupid to allow one of their spy balloons to just like fly into the U.S. I don't know. It just seems like there's something weird about that. Maybe it's just a distraction, really. Distract us from something else that's happening, either in the space or because of our economy. I don't know. A lot of these things, I feel like it's just a fake out. It makes you distracted. It makes the people concentrate on one thing while something else is really happening. So I don't know what to make of it. Seventh Moon. Would you be looking for writers and people in that sphere, like, to come up with ideas for NFTs? I don't, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever your idea is, you can email me, and we could talk about it. There's a lot of crypto tax softwares. Coinly is a good one. Coin Tracker, I've tested it. It seems good. Coin Tracking, I tested it. It seems good. They're all pretty much the same. what you do is you go into your exchange and you open up read access, and you create an API key, and then you plug that in to these softwares, and then it goes in and reads and calculates. And then for everything else, like your cold wallets and stuff like that, you just give it the wallet address and it'll look at all transactions. I mean, they all work pretty much the same way, and they all work pretty good. So definitely takes the manual calculations out. How much will XRP be worth if they win the lawsuit? Much, 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 much higher. If they win the lawsuit, I have no doubt they could go up 100% in a single day. Probably even more than that. The XRP army is strong, very strong. So, you know, if they win the lawsuit, within the first week, they could probably go up 10x. No exaggeration. They'll climb back to their previous high, probably in a single week. But don't know. Don't know when that is going to happen. I do think they have a good shot of winning, though. But I just don't know when. All right, guys, let's conclude. Hopefully you guys have a good Sunday. Overall, market down a little bit. We'll see how this week is, but AI is definitely getting hot once again because of Google, right? Will it stay hot for the remainder of the year? Probably. There's going to be a big emphasis in AI and AI products this year. So for crypto AI projects, probably will be carried in this wave. But as for Bitcoin, of course, will it reach 100,000? Yes. Yes, it will. So stay strong, my friends. There'll be a weekly recap video tonight. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.